What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the NBA Hardwood Show here on the Run Pier Sports YouTube channel. I'm Draftcheat, joined today once again by Bobby Gomes. What's going on, man?
Nothing, was just having a fun day. Title hit me up, said he had to go play basketball versus Big T. Any idea how that turned out?
Indeed, yeah. I certainly watched the live stream. I had some action on Title over Big T there and shipped that money pretty easily. Big T. Man, I know,
it was a rough showing for Big T, yeah.
The dude's been balling in DFS, and I know they've been getting after it over the Niehaus compound over these last couple of days, partying it up. But man, he was gassed after like one drive to the basket. He was holding his shorts. It was kind of rough to see, I gotta say.
Yeah, so for me, I think I didn't really put any hard dollars down, but I like Title there. I don't know what it was. Big T had to run cold eventually. Like, you can't just keep giving out winners in DFS and then crushing Title in basketball. Like, what's Title 23? Like, he's in good shape, goes to the gym every day. Seemed like he was the play.
For sure. I wish I would have bet more. Big T seems so confident, but yeah, you got to bet on the young buck there. Title, he's got a he's got a James Harden-esque little step back 3-point jumper that looked real good. In warm-ups, Uncle T was filming it. I was watching Title in the warm-ups, and man, dude made like 15 threes in a row. And at that point I got some more action on Title, so made out pretty good there. And yeah, we'll be throwing that down on some DFS lineups tonight for sure.
James Harden-esque, is that legitimate?
Yeah, it was looking good. From the right side, of course. Title shoots from the right side, unlike Harden, but. Yeah, he looked good, and he was getting a little gassed himself, but was able to outlast Big T. So thank you, TitleTown, if you're watching. Thank you for the cheese, and hopefully we'll parlay that into some more money tonight in DFS. Bobby, we got a 6-game slate on tap for tonight. Yeah, it looks like 6-gamer. Does begin 3 games kind of at that early lock, 7 Eastern time. We'll talk about each and every one going down the slate, talking about injury news, everything you guys need, hopefully, to get in the green this evening. First game of the night that we'll talk about is certainly a good one. Washington and Brooklyn. Big total in this one, as you might expect, 248. Doesn't get much higher than that. Expected to be an absolute barn burner of a game. I guess maybe unfortunately, if you want to use that word, both teams look pretty healthy here. Even Blake Griffin's supposedly going to play in this one. We're going to see both Westbrook and Beal in there for the Wizards. So yeah, should be a good one. Interested to hear your thoughts here. I think a lot of people are going to be going to this game early. Of course, Kevin Durant still out for Brooklyn. That's really the only injury news of note.
Yeah, and I think we also get Blake Griffin's first game for the Nets. I feel he plays like 18 to 20 minutes. I'm not really interested in him in 5K, but just something.
No.
A guy I think that's going to be pretty chalky in this game is Rui at 5'8", just because how bigs have kind of been hurting the Nets. And then obviously like Rui's seeing like 38 minutes per game. So I could definitely see him being someone a lot of people go to. So trying to figure out what to do with him in tournaments, and obviously with the 245 total, like Beal, Westbrook, Harden, Irving, like these guys are in play immediately. I think Harden's the best play for me as of right now, but I also haven't done like too much research. Like I pretty much was Sunday funding since 11, so kind of got to hop in and figure this all out. Yeah, I don't know. I think like Westbrook, Beal, if that's the case, I think they're like I like stacking. Got like 2 studs on this slate. Like just it has kind of been a way like to differentiate Harden when he's been chalky. Like playing him with Kyrie or playing Westbrook with Beal, I think is also viable. Beal's 1,400 less than Westbrook on DK. I think it'll be more highly owned. Yeah, so basically differentiating the studs in this total would be something that I want to do, but I want to have exposure to all the studs. How are you kind of approaching it, DC?
Yeah, I mean, Westbrook's just been on an absolute tear recently.
He's so good.
He looks amazing, especially from a DFS perspective. So I do want to get him in there, but a lot of studs to pay for. If I've got to choose one stud from this game between Westbrook, Beal, Harden, and Kyrie, it is going to be Westbrook over all of those guys. I think he's the top play. we'll see. You know, like Big T's talked about, he doesn't typically come in that high of ownership. I think they'll have ownership today, but I don't know exactly where it's going to fall. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I do think he's the top play overall in this game, which I wouldn't have anticipated saying that, 3 months ago, but that's just how good he's been. So I am on Westbrook here. Hachimura, like you brought up, I think he'll be popular for good reason, though. We're seeing him get a lot of time at the 5. They kind of have benched Robin Lopez. Now Davis Bertans is also out, so you can play even more at the 4. You look at Hachimura's minutes, 39, 38, 37, 38, performing pretty well. And then, I mean, this is a perfect game for him to play more minutes at center, right? Obviously, Brooklyn plays fast, and when DeAndre Jordan is off the court, they play pretty small. So I think you'll see, obviously, Hachimura going to start at the 4, but I think he'll slide to the 5 pretty quickly when Alex Len checks in or checks out of the game. I don't anticipate they'll replace Len with Lopez. So those minutes at the 5 should go to Hachimura here. I really, really like him in this game. Actually hasn't been all that productive against the Nets so far this year, but I'll certainly take the chance on him, even if he will be popular. What's his price on FanDuel? He's 5,800 on DK and 4,900 on FanDuel. So yeah, he's going to be super chalky over there, but in my opinion, for good reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So my issue with him is just like trying to figure out, I thought he was going to be higher owned than he might actually be earlier in the day relative to now. So Rui, if he's not going to be highly owned, I think is a very, very good play at 5,800 on FanDuel at 49. Like, I think he definitely someone you want to have exposure to on both sites. FanDuel definitely FanDuel, he's going to be a lot higher owned than he's going to be
for
on
sure.
It seems so.
Yeah, he'll be massive chalk, I assume, on FanDuel. I'll be riding right along with it. Any other thoughts from Washington, Brooklyn?
Yeah, so Joe Harris is a guy that I was on the other night. He was not going to be highly owned, and he's at 5,200 now on DK. I don't know if he's going to be as highly owned as I thought he was going to be either earlier in the day. News obviously broke. I think a lot of these Lakers guys, like Taylor Horton, THT, and like guys like that are going to be pretty chalky at that position. So maybe you can go to some Joe Harris at 5,200 for 1,000 less and less of the ownership. I don't really mind that. Yeah, that would pretty much be it, I think.
Cool. Let's jump to Toronto and Cleveland next. Raptors basically have all their guys back at this point, more or less fully healthy, which obviously kind of reduces interest in them. Toronto's been a team that most of the year they've been kind of missing a Lowry or these guys from COVID or something. But right now, with everybody back, only one ball, and it's kind of hard for them all to get there. From the Cleveland side, relatively healthy as well. Taurean Prince going to miss this game. We've seen Larry Nance playing some pretty good basketball and balling out recently, so he's a little bit interesting to me. Overall, though, I don't love this game. You do get some decent price points on some of the Raptors guys, like on DraftKings, Fred VanVleet, just 7,600. He seems fully healthy. He's been back for 2 games, played 32 and then 41 minutes against Utah, so he's good to go. So 7,600 for VanVleet is kind of the place I'm looking on DraftKings, but even then, I think there might be better plays out there. Your thoughts overall here on Toronto and Cleveland?
Yeah, I sometimes like to attack Cleveland, and these Raptors guys do get minutes at depressed ownership. Like we've talked about that relentlessly with how much minutes these Raptors guys all get. That price for VanVleet, I think, is too cheap. The issue is the total isn't great, but the total isn't great for a lot of these games. So it's not like something that's going to be do or die. Like the highest, I think, total outside of the Washington Nets game is the Dallas Portland game. So all these other totals aren't great. You're going to get the minutes of the Raptors guys like VanVleet, like the price. Lowry, 8,100. I don't really want to go there. Siakam I'd probably prefer, but that's I don't know. I'd prefer Lowry to Siakam. I think I would at least. What are we getting Siakam's price at? I think
it's right around
7,200. I definitely prefer Siakam and VanVleet to Lowry if I had to make decisions on that. And on the flip side, like I think Colin Sexton might end up relatively chalky. Is Garland out? Like who's not? Or
no, they're pretty healthy. Yeah,
pretty healthy. Yeah, so for me, like it'd just be Colin Sexton from the Cleveland side. I don't think he's a bad play.
Yeah, I think Sexton's fine. I'm not really on the Cleveland side of this game. The discounts that you get for the Raptors guys, like you mentioned, Van Vliet and Siakam, I think both in play. Probably choose one or the other. I don't think I want to go crazy rostering Toronto guys, given that they're a fully healthy team at this point. But both, I'll take the discount on a Siakam or a Kyle Lowry or a Fred Van Vliet rather if it fits my team. But other than that, probably not going super heavy on this game. Let's go to the final 7 Eastern time game, Chicago and Detroit. This one, not as quite high of a total here, 217.5. We've seen Detroit totals come way down. They're playing pretty slow right now. Ugly basketball from the Pistons. Mostly healthy teams here. I think we're going to continue to see Satoransky in the starting lineup. He came out kind of guns blazing. It's cooled off these last 2 games. I think that was somewhat predictable. I guess you could play him if you want at 4,500. And in Detroit, I talk about it a lot every time Detroit's on the slate. I just don't trust this team right now. I don't really trust the minutes for almost anybody. Jeremy Grant being the one sort of exception, but he was awesome to start the year. Hasn't really been super great recently. Could play him if you want. Sadiq Bey has been really good, but not sure if I want to pay that $5,600 price tag for him. And yeah, I don't see a ton here. What am I missing, Bobby?
Yeah, like bigs versus Chicago. So like Plumlee, but like you said, like they're fully healthy. He's at 6K. I don't mind him for tournaments, but it's not like something I love. Jeremy Grant.
I think he's pretty much capped at 25, 30 minutes at this point. Like they're going to play Isaiah Stewart. They just are.
Yeah. So do you have would that bring you any interest in Stewart in that sense? How many minutes is Stewart seeing?
I've been on him some. His price is rising now though, 4,400. Like he had this exact same role, 4 games ago when he was 3,600, 3,900. So I liked him more then. He's still definitely in play at 4,400 if you need the savings. I'm not sure. I'll look up his FanDuel price here.
You had the Stewart call a couple of days ago. It was definitely a sharp call.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna get 20 to 25 minutes. He just is. That's just what they're doing right now. And the matchup's certainly good against Chicago. He's 4,100 on FanDuel. I like that a little bit better, I suppose.
Yeah, even at 4.4 on DK, I don't hate it.
Yeah. He can get you 25, 30 points for sure.
Yeah, it's a good spot. Large field GPP play. Yeah, I don't mind that. Jeremy Grant, 30, like his props at 36.5. It's pretty strong. What's his price at? I'm just gonna pull that up.
He's 7,300 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I like Jeremy Grant a bunch here. He would be someone I'd be interested in. Satoransky starting, I don't hate. Levine's line's taken off, so I wonder if we have any news, if we're waiting on news on him. Levine is a nice prop number. What's Levine's price? 9,100 around that?
I think he's discounted. He hasn't smashed recently. 8,500 on DK.
Hey, I'd be interested in Levine also. Sure. Like Levine.
Yeah.
He'd be a strong play.
Yeah, I think Levine's fine. He's got that upside always because he can score, but just the pace of this game is a little bit worrisome for me from like a kind of a pure score standpoint, just with the lowered number of possessions. But I get Levine. I think, Stewart probably my favorite play in Detroit, which is a little gross to say, but I just do not trust the minutes from these guys. DeLon Wright, you could go to. I think he's got upside. The matchup's certainly there for him, but another guy who, you just don't know what kind of minutes you're going to get from night to night. So, not as high on Detroit or Chicago, frankly. Anyone else from Chicago? We obviously talked a little bit about Levine. Wouldn't know Carter coming off the bench now. He's down to 4,800. I don't think I can go there. And Thad Young's price has come up. Still playing well. You could play him at 6,400 if you wanted, but I don't think you want to go too crazy on this one.
Yeah, I think it would be Levine or maybe Patrick. What's Patrick Williams at? Like that would be.
Yeah, he's 4,300. He's cheap, so you could go there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get too much exposure. I think it'd be just Levine or bust for me at this point.
Sure enough. Let's go to Philadelphia and New York. Just a reminder, guys, hit that subscribe, hit that like button. Helps us bring you these shows each and every day. And of course, we've got all the information you'll need. Core plays from a bunch of us over at Run for Your Sports. Get in the Discord. You will like what you see. Let's go to then Philadelphia and the New York Knicks. 213 total. We see this often with Knicks games. They just play at a slow pace. They don't get out and run ever, basically. And then Philadelphia, obviously missing Joel Embiid. They're also going to be down Seth Curry. And then Ben Simmons is kind of the big piece of news. He was I think he was questionable most of the day yesterday, and then they said he was going to play, and then he was ruled out, like half an hour or something like that before lock. We saw Tobias Harris, who was my mom's basement play of the day yesterday, had a big game. I would anticipate the same. Obviously, he kind of benefited probably from the absence of Ben Simmons, but I think he's going to be a monster when he gets full run in these games without Embiid, and that'll be the case tonight, and Seth Curry out, obviously, too. So I love Harris again, especially if Simmons is out, but I'm down either way. And yeah, we saw Shake Milton got some pretty big minutes. So we'll see with the Sixers what they end up doing with Simmons. But of course, the matchup's not great against Knicks. It's really not a team that you want to target DFS-wise. From the Knicks side, we're waiting on news from Quickly and Payton, who are both questionable. So the two kind of lead guards from the Knicks. Derrick Rose already rolled out, and then Mitchell Robinson. I think I saw him tweet that he's ready to play. He's questionable, so I kind of think Mitchell Robinson is going to be in the lineup in this one.
Yeah, we just got news. Ben Simmons remains questionable Sunday, so just something to keep in mind. Obviously, Toby would get a huge usage bump with Curry and Simmons out. Obviously, smashed last night. I think that's definitely in play again tonight. Going back, on the Philly side, they're on the back-to-back. Shake Milton was a great play last night. Danny Green had a good game. Would like to see Maxey get more minutes. Maybe he gets him on the back-to-back, but I doubt he's in play. It would be more of a large field GPP play. He's only I doubt he sees more than 12 to 15 minutes, which would make him you can't even play him. But
yep,
I want to see him get more minutes. I had him in my core last night. Wish that had turned out differently. It wasn't the greatest play. Yeah, so basically on the Knicks side, Randall, you're taking him beat out. I just think he's in a really good spot versus 76ers front court. Don't mind him in tournaments. He would be someone I'd be kind of looking to get to. And we need the Elf Payton news, but Knicks value isn't great for me unless Quickly starting, and then I'm interested in Quickly if also. So that would kind of be my interest in regards to Knicks. Quickly's up at 6K though, so I don't even know if he's the greatest play in that situation. We might be able to find better guard plays. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a low total game. Not too, outside of that, I don't really have too much interest. Matthias Thybulle crushed last night, but I don't know. These plays are the value plays are kind of sketchy for me, I guess, even though a lot of them are going to see minutes.
Yeah, I'm not going to Thybulle, just not good enough offensively for me to play, especially in a slow-paced game. I think he's much better when things are moving quickly. He can get steals and get involved defensively. In this game, I don't see it. Probably not going to Randall here. I've been on Randall a lot this season. I don't love this matchup for him. You can certainly do it. The matchup's much better, with Embiid and that rim protection out. And then the next side, it just kind of depends on if Quickly and Payton play. If both of those guys are out, I don't mind going to Alec Burks. He's priced up a little bit on DraftKings at 5,800, but 4,900 for Burks as a shooting guard on FanDuel looks pretty tasty to me. So certainly pay attention to those Knicks guards. And then Randall, I would say he does take a little bit of a hit if Mitchell Robinson ends up playing. You'll see Randall get fewer minutes at the 5. Rebounding totals go down, and then Randall also definitely affected by the absence or presence of Quickly and Payton, because we've seen him. He's basically the point guard when those guys are out. If either one of those guys are back, Payton or Quickly, you'll see the ball in Randall's hands less often, especially with Payton. Payton is obviously kind of a true point guard, whereas Quickly is more of a scoring guard. So those guys do affect Julius Randle if you're interested in playing him. I might be if both of those guys and Mitchell Robinson are out, but we'll see.
Yeah, that would be kind of like where my interest would lie at Randall. If those guys are ruled out, then I think Randall becomes more in play.
Yeah, absolutely. Two more games to talk about. Both of them start at 10 Eastern time. First one we'll do is Dallas and Portland. This is a run back game scenario. These two teams just played on Friday. Close game. Dallas pulled that one out 125-119. News and notes. Looks like, Portland slowly but surely getting healthier. They are going to have CJ McCollum available for this game, it looks like. Yusuf Nurkic still out for a few more games, so Enes Kanter going to get the start. From the Dallas side, Cauley Stein and James Johnson are out. Look pretty healthy. Otherwise, Dorian Finney-Smith going to return. When they last played, I was on Luka over Lillard. That certainly worked out. Luka had a huge game. I don't think Portland has the players to slow down Luka. Like, their guards are just too small. They don't have rim protection with Enes Kanter. And it's a tremendous spot for Luka. So even on a slate where, yes, you do have a lot of options, for me, Luka, at or near the very top of it.
Yeah, I'm with you with Luka. I love Luka. He looks like he's gaining ownership though, relative to like the Beals and the Westbrooks. So
sure, yeah.
In that instance, like, he looks like he's the pay up. Well, James Harden's the pay up, but I think there's enough value to where you can get both, or they will be. At least try to get both. I'd prefer Harden over Luka, but I think that Luka's a very good play also. Yeah, it'd be Luka. I don't mind Porzingis. Obviously, getting Kanter defense, don't hate that. And on the Lillard side, like, is Lillard going to come in low owned? And he's kind of priced up, but
I think he'll be low owned. In my opinion, he kind of should be. Like, I know
relative to
he had that monster game against the Pelicans, but the last two is kind of more of what I expect from Lillard: 40 to 50 fantasy points with McCollum back. It just takes a big chunk of his usage away. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. McCollum definitely hurts him. It'd be interesting to see if McCollum's minutes will see an uptick. Where's his price at? He's around 7.3. If he sees 30, I don't hate McCollum in this spot. I don't really know how many minutes he played in the last game though. I was contemplating playing him, and then it was the second game back. I was like, I'm not going to do this. Just kind of wait and see. Yeah. But it was the same matchup. I don't mind McCollum as a flyer GPP play, I guess, if he's going to be very low on, which I think he will be. I think that's a good price tag if his role increases. Yeah, it's pretty much. I like Kanter. I don't hate. I think he's fine. Yeah, that would be pretty much my interest from this game, though. Unless I'm missing anything. Do you think is there anything? Jalen Brunson maybe at 4,300, I think would be a really strong play. Maybe I was overlooking that.
With Luka and Porzingis in there, it's really hard to go to anybody else, right? It's kind of like a little bit like the Washington scenario with Westbrook and Beal. It's like, how much more is there to really go around? Obviously, Hachimura we like a little bit tonight, but in general, not in love with anyone else on Dallas. And with Portland back, I just need their prices to come down a little bit now that they're getting healthier. We've seen these guys kind of priced up with so many guys out for the last 3-4 weeks that I'll be mostly off of Portland in general, and I think that's true tonight as well. Let's go to the last game of the night, and certainly in many respects kind of the most interesting one from maybe a real basketball perspective and a DFS perspective as well. LeBron James sprained his ankle last game. He left in the second quarter. I think that, just yesterday. And he's going to be out, it looks like, a while. I didn't even know he was really capable of spraining an ankle, but it looked pretty ugly. He is going to be down. We did see the Lakers play, most of that game against the Hawks without him. So we did get somewhat of an idea of how they're going to react, to that situation. I think kind of the first place I'm looking is Dennis Schroeder, who he's got to take over the point guard at this point, right? That was kind of him and LeBron kind of shared that point guard role. LeBron obviously like the quote unquote point forward, if you will. Well, with LeBron out, it's going to be a lot of Dennis Schroeder. If you look at kind of the passing statistics from last night's game, he had the ball a ton, Dennis Schroeder did. He didn't have the most assists or anything, but I think that could change because they've got to, they had to kind of change that on the fly without LeBron out, but now they have had a day to kind of figure out how they're going to do it. And I think we're going to see a lot more Dennis Schroeder. So I'm certainly in on him. Kyle Kuzma started the second half for LeBron. I would assume that will be the case, that he'll get the start. He played a ton of minutes in the second half. So Kyle Kuzma, I think, is going to be kind of in a primary scoring role. I think they'll need to use Harrell more. Horton Tucker is going to be popular, getting more minutes off the bench. There's a lot of places to look for the Lakers, who are obviously already down. Anthony Davis still missing him. And then you take out LeBron James. That's just a lot of statistics to kind of pass around to everybody else.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of the main guys. Another guy would Markieff Morris. I think you just kind of touched on him as well. I think he's in play to assume some of that usage from LeBron. He would be someone I'd be interested in. Harrell 6'5" on DK is just a really good price tag. I think he's in a phenomenal spot. THT at 4.2, if that's going to be the value play for a lot of people, it makes sense, right? We've obviously seen his usage rates increase in situations where LeBron's off the floor. So one game,
I like him a bunch. Yep,
he's going to be someone who's going to be extreme chalk. For me, it's going to be trying to figure out which one of these guys is the bad chalk and who may see minutes just out of necessity that wouldn't necessarily. Be interested to see how many minutes Damian Jones has played. I know he started 2 games ago or something like that, but obviously that's not he's not someone I really want to he'd just be someone I'd be looking into his minutes in the second half. Morris, THT, Harrell, Schroeder. I like Schroeder. I feel like he's a better play on FanDuel than he is on DK, but I could be wrong in that sense. I'd still think you'd want some exposure to Schroeder on DK. But I think I'd prefer Horton Tucker and Harrell, maybe even Caruso at 3.3 relative to Schroeder as of right now. But I don't know. It's just he'd be more of a GBP play for me on DK.
He's 6,900 on DK Schroeder. I still like him. I'm in on it, but 6,100 on FanDuel, better play over there for sure.
Yeah, I think he's a better play on FanDuel, but like you said, good play regardless. On the other side, do you like any of these Suns? Any of these Suns interest you? Booker, Chris Paul, Ayton?
None of these guys are near the top of my list, but I'm a little bit worried about the pace of this game. I mean, LeBron went down and they played a 99-94 game against Atlanta. I'm worried that they're just going to slow down a little bit. What's the total here? 214 and a half. So a pretty low total. Marc Gasol, I didn't mention this, probably should have. He's questionable to play too, so he could cut into Harrell a little bit if you're looking at Harrell. I think Gasol's return doesn't necessarily take Harrell out of play, but it would lower him a little bit in my eyes. The Suns side, I mean, they're going to want to win this game for sure. Take a win from the Lakers if they can. Chris Paul, I think, is somewhat interesting. Yeah, he's been not quite as good, but I think the Suns, like I said, will want to win this one. And Paul down to 7,400. We saw him up above 8K for a little bit. I don't mind the discount on Chris Paul there.
Yeah, definitely don't mind a discount on Chris Paul and getting Schroeder D. Don't hate attacking that.
Yep.
10-point spread isn't the best, but it is what it is. It's 6 game slate. I don't know if I like Booker. Ayton, I like playing guys against Ayton. So maybe these guys like Harrell, Gasol, Damian Jones, if he sees minutes, those are guys in Damian Jones, large field GBP kind of play, or you know what I mean? Just trying to get guys in a plus EV situation versus DeAndre Ayton's never a bad play in DFS. That would be pretty much my thoughts on this game. We can take some questions too in the chat if you guys want to shoot some questions over.
Yeah, hit those questions up in the chat, Bobby. If you've got the chat up, you can throw them my way and we'll discuss. It doesn't look like we have any additional news, while we've been talking. Everything pretty much stands kind of as we called it. From just kind of an overall slate strategy, I think a lot of people are going to go to these early games. Washington, Brooklyn, obviously going to be a game that a ton of people target for good reason. It's really hard to avoid that game. I don't think you have to go crazy. I think there are enough good spots on the 6-gamer. look elsewhere, but certainly Washington, Brooklyn, kind of the premier game, the highest total by far. And then for me, the Ben Simmons news kind of affects a lot. That's like the other big piece of news that could really change how you approach this slate. Any questions? Did we get any in chat there?
Not a ton. Pretty much asked Otto Porter interest. Who's out on the Bulls? Do we have any?
Nobody really. I'm not super interested in Porter, honestly.
What's his price? Anyways, just wondering. You have it pulled out. Can pull it up.
I think it's 4,500.
Yeah, I don't love Porter. I don't know, like
coming off a big game, but I'm not chasing it.
Yeah, I get you. Any questions, guys? Hit chat with questions if you guys wanna throw some questions in here and get those likes up. We need to get these likes up. Come on, give us some likes and subscribe. We love those. Don't want to forget putting those in, getting that out there. Ben Simmons, if he plays tonight, should I start Shake or Dwight Howard? I'd be more bullish on Shake if Ben Simmons didn't play.
I would take Howard if Simmons is in. If Simmons is in, I think he would be an okay play, but I don't love the pace of the game for him.
Yeah, I think Howard's still a good play because they kind of have to deal with Randall in that sense, but I could be wrong. Like, not like a great play, but I don't know. If he's coming in low owned, like they need bigs to deal with Randall. I don't know. It's just always, if it's not like a projection thing, it's just a matchup situation where they would need him, even though his defense isn't like what it obviously was at the beginning of his career. Shoot. Any questions, guys? You want to throw us take Porter Jr. always has worked versus Detroit. He's been a rookie, so like I don't know how many games he's played versus Detroit. No, I was thinking Horton Tucker. Sorry, not Porter Jr. Nearing 5. Doncic or Dame? I'd go Doncic over Dame. Carlos Ray asked in chat. I definitely Doncic. Any love?
Luka by a wide margin over Dame for me.
Yeah. Any love for Frank Jackson? Not really. Like, I guess it's just a slow paced game. Like, kind of DC kind of hit on when we kind of broke down that game. Like, it's not like the greatest. Rank your studs for DK GPP. Harden would be 1. Luka probably be 2. Westbrook 3, maybe. DC, how do you see that?
I'm going Luka number 1, Westbrook 2.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
And then Harden would be 3rd for me, but pretty clearly Luka and Westbrook kind of leading the charge.
Yeah, so I think Westbrook is like a really sharp call on your part, just because he's probably going to see the most depressed ownership in that high total game.
I hope so.
Brooklyn and Washington. So I'm seeing Beal like around like 10 points higher in terms of percentage points than Westbrook. So
yeah,
I like that call. Don't mind like in terms of construction playing 2 of these studs like on a 6-game slate. Like I think that's a way to differentiate it. If you're playing Harden, maybe play Kyrie with them. And then you can run it back, although I don't think running it back is like a necessity in NBA, obviously. It's definitely not as correlated as other sports, but just like construction things I would think about to kind of differentiate higher ownership. DC, any final thoughts, man?
I don't think so. Yeah, that should do it. We'll get out of here a little bit early, get to making our teams, and we'll be back to the normal schedule tomorrow. After I think the big tea party will be broken up, we'll get those guys back on the air. We've got baseball coming up in less than 2 weeks, so super excited about that myself. I know we've got big plans for baseball over at runfearsports.com. Again, hit that like, hit that subscribe so you don't miss any shows. And we'll be back here breaking down all this stuff tomorrow. He is Bobby. I'm DC, and we'll check you next time. Thank you. All right, later, guys.
I like the Stewart call, DC.
What's that?
I like the Stewart call.
Yeah, I could see that working out.
Yeah. He's in that price range.
Sure.
I think he's a good play. I think it's a good call. I'll talk to you later, guys.